The fire breathes low tonight. Embers settle like red stars into ash. Smoke carries the salt of the far water, and the night listens back. I have heard this tale where waves break quietly, where words are not written but carried, mouth to ear, older than any road. Lean closer. The wind will mind us. In a coastal village, shaped like a cupped hand, roofs leaned inland as though forever bracing. The sea lay below, dark and patient, its breath rising and falling with the stones. People there learned the tides before they learned their names. Doors were latched by habit, not fear. Lamps were turned low when the moon thinned, and when the night tide climbed, no one sang. It was said the sea spoke enough on its own. A woman lived at the village edge, where grass gave way to shale. She mended nets and counted gulls by their shadows. Her name mattered less than her listening. Each evening she walked the shore at the same hour, when the water first changed its tone. She never went farther than the black rock that split the surf, and she never stayed once the sound began. The sound was not always there. That was the rule. Sometimes weeks passed with nothing but waves and wind. At other times it came without warning, thin as breath through reeds, a rise and fall that was almost a voice, almost a grief. Children were taught to step inside when it came. Fishermen loosened their lines and waited for another dawn. The sound asked for nothing, yet it was answered all the same. Two questions lived quietly in the village. Why did the sound choose certain nights? And why did it never come twice for the same loss? The woman kept her silence. She had heard it once before she ever saw the sea, back when her mother still stood in doorways and the tide had a different shape. Since then, she trusted the warning more than the calm. On a night when the moon hid behind cloud, the water drew farther back than usual. Stones shone wet and pale. The woman reached the black rock and stopped. The sound had not yet begun, but the air felt thinned, as though something had passed through and not returned. She waited. The tide turned. Then it came, not a cry, not a song, a long hollow note that bent at the edges, as if shaped by distance. It slid along the water and climbed the paths between houses. It found ears that did not wish to hear and hearts that already knew. A young man down by the boats paused mid-knot. He had plans for the morning, nets ready, oars laid true. He lifted his head, frowning, as though trying to place a memory just out of reach. The sound faded. Silence followed, heavier than before. The woman turned back without looking at the village. She did not count gulls that night. In the days that followed, the sea lay smooth, too smooth. Boats returned early, their holds light. No one spoke of the sound, though it pressed behind every word. The young man laughed louder than he needed to. He took the longer path home, skirting the shore as if daring it to answer. On the fourth night, the tide rose fast. Clouds tore and rejoined. The sound did not return. That was the second rule. Loss did not wait for repetition. The village woke to a gap where a boat should have been. Rope lay cut clean against the stones. The sea offered nothing back. The young man's name was spoken once, then held. After, the woman walked less often. She mended in silence and listened from her door. Others began to notice the pattern they had long avoided. The sound came before, never after. It warned, but did not save. It asked for listening, not obedience. Weeks later, a child heard it faintly at dusk and ran, breathless, to her mother. They barred the door and held each other until morning. Nothing was lost that time. The sea kept its distance, as if disappointed. The village learned a harder habit. When the sound rose, they did not test it. They did not name it. They let it pass through them like a cold current, leaving the shape of what might be taken. The woman returned to the black rock one final evening. The tide was low, the stars sharp. The sound came sooner than expected, closer than before. It circled her like wind around a standing stone. For a moment, she did not turn away. I heard it with her, not as warning, but as recognition, the way a voice knows a voice it has already taken. She stepped back then. She always did. The village stands still, if you pass it now. Nets dry and boats rest. Doors face inland. And on certain nights, when the tide learns a new edge, the sound travels on, searching for ears that will believe it the first time. The fire is thinning. Ash settles where flame once leaned. Beyond this light, the sea keeps its breath. I will sit until it is quiet again. Some fires are not meant to be left behind.